Have you ever wondered what would happen if a nuclear war broke out? Let's start by understanding what we're dealing with. Nuclear weapons, the most destructive force mankind has ever created. Born from the scientific breakthroughs of the 20th century, these weapons wield a power so immense, it's almost beyond comprehension. The energy released in a nuclear explosion can be millions of times more powerful than traditional explosives. Currently, it's estimated that there are nearly 14,000 nuclear warheads scattered across the globe. Each one of these represents a potential apocalypse, a button press away from unleashing untold devastation. Now, let's delve a bit into the immediate effects of a nuclear explosion. It's not a pretty picture, but it's one we need to paint to truly grasp the magnitude of this threat. The first thing is the blast radius. The explosion creates a shockwave that obliterates virtually everything in its path. Buildings, trees, cars, people. Nothing can withstand the raw power of this blast. Then there's the fireball. This is a massive superheated sphere of gas that forms at the heart of the explosion. It's hotter than the surface of the sun and incinerates everything within its reach. The heat can cause severe burns miles from the epicenter and ignite fires that can spread across an entire city. And we can't forget about the radiation. This invisible killer is one of the most insidious aspects of a nuclear explosion. It contaminates the air, the ground, the water. It can cause radiation sickness in the short term, and in the long term, it can lead to cancers and genetic damage. The immediate effects of a nuclear explosion are devastating, but they are just the beginning. As we delve deeper into this unthinkable scenario, we'll explore the aftermath of the blast and the long-term consequences. But for now, let's take a moment to reflect on the power and the danger that nuclear weapons represent. The aftermath of a nuclear blast extends far beyond the initial explosion. In the moments following a nuclear detonation, the world as we know it fundamentally changes. The immediate blast radius experiences unfathomable destruction, but the effects ripple outwards, creating devastation on a scale that's hard to comprehend. The first of these short-term effects is the fallout. Fallout is the residual radioactive material propelled into the upper atmosphere following a nuclear blast. As it descends back to Earth, it contaminates everything in its path. The fallout can spread across hundreds, if not thousands of square miles, depending on the size of the explosion and the prevailing winds. This radioactive dust can linger in the environment for years, making the affected areas uninhabitable and posing a serious health risk to any life that dares to venture into them. Next, we have the nuclear winter. This is a theoretical climatic effect, where the massive amount of smoke and soot thrust into the atmosphere by a nuclear war could block out sunlight, drastically reducing temperatures on the Earth's surface. A nuclear winter could last for months, or even years, leading to a collapse of the global climate system. The chilling cold, combined with a severe lack of sunlight, could devastate plant life, disrupt ecosystems, and lead to a mass extinction of several species. Lastly, the impact on the environment is immediate and brutal. The intense heat and radiation from a nuclear explosion can annihilate all life forms in the immediate vicinity. Forests, grasslands, rivers, and lakes all could be wiped out in an instant. The loss of these habitats would have a profound impact on the biodiversity of the region, and the recovery process could take centuries. In essence, the short-term effects of a nuclear explosion are akin to ripping the fabric of life asunder. They are catastrophic, to say the least, but as we shall see, the long-term effects, the slow and agonizing deterioration of life and society, are even more alarming. The short-term effects of a nuclear explosion are catastrophic, but the long-term effects are even more alarming. The long-term consequences of a nuclear war would reshape the world as we know it. Imagine, if you will, a future where the Earth's climate is dramatically altered. The detonation of nuclear weapons would inject soot and dust into the Earth's stratosphere, blocking out a substantial amount of sunlight. This phenomenon, known as nuclear winter, could lead to a marked drop in global temperatures. Picture an endless winter, but not the picturesque kind with children making snow angels. This would be an inhospitable cold, a darkness that could last for many years. Crops would fail, leading to widespread famine. The world's food supply, so carefully balanced, would be thrown into chaos. Experts estimate that billions could starve in the wake of such an event. But the effects wouldn't stop at our dinner tables. The impact on the world's wildlife would be just as catastrophic. Many species, unable to adapt to the rapid changes in temperature and food availability, would become extinct. Our planet's biodiversity, a rich tapestry woven over millions of years, could be unraveled in a matter of decades. And what about our oceans? Those vast bodies of water that cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface. They too would not be spared. The drop in temperatures would disrupt marine ecosystems, threatening the survival of countless marine species. Our coral reefs, already under stress from climate change, would likely perish in the cold, dark world of a nuclear winter. Let's not forget the radioactive fallout. This would contaminate both land and water, posing a long-term threat to all forms of life. Radioactive isotopes could linger in the environment for thousands of years, making vast regions of the planet uninhabitable. The long-term effects of a nuclear war would be devastating and far-reaching, affecting generations to come. This is not a future we want to pass on to our children or grandchildren. It's a stark reminder of the importance of nuclear disarmament and the urgent need to find peaceful solutions to our conflicts. The human toll of a nuclear war is unimaginable. Imagine for a moment the immediate aftermath of a nuclear blast. The heat and shockwave would cause burns and injuries of varying degrees, with many people near the epicenter not surviving, but the impact on human health extends far beyond those initial moments. Radiation sickness would become a grim reality for many, characterized by nausea, weakness, hair loss, and a decreased ability to fight off infection. This illness can be deadly. In the weeks and months following the blast, a significant portion of the population could succumb to this sickness, unable to access the medical help they need in the post-apocalyptic world. But let's not forget the long-term diseases caused by radiation exposure. The risk of developing cancer, particularly leukemia and other types of cancers, could skyrocket. Genetic mutations could lead to birth defects in future generations, with the effects of the nuclear war echoing through time. The psychological impact, too, is profound. The trauma of surviving such a catastrophe can lead to a myriad of mental health issues, including post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. The breakdown of social structures would only exacerbate these issues. Imagine the loss of community, the isolation, the fear. It's a heavy burden for any human mind to bear. To put this into perspective, consider the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. Those two bombs caused an estimated 200,000 deaths, many from radiation sickness and burns. The survivors, known as hibakusha, have faced a lifetime of physical and psychological challenges, a testament to the long-lasting impact of nuclear weapons. It's clear that the human impact of a nuclear war goes far beyond the initial blast. It's a ripple effect, with each wave bringing a new set of challenges and hardships. The toll on human health, both physical and mental, is staggering. The human impact of a nuclear war would be unparalleled in history. In a world without nuclear war, we could focus on peace, progress, and prosperity. Imagine a world where the specter of nuclear conflict no longer hangs over us. A world where the resources poured into creating weapons of mass destruction are instead dedicated to enriching the lives of all. The benefits of such a world are countless and stretch far beyond the mere absence of war. Increased global stability would be one of the most immediate and noticeable benefits. The tension caused by nations possessing these catastrophic weapons would lessen dramatically. As the fear and mistrust dissipate, countries could focus more on cooperation and less on potential conflict. Imagine the resources, both financial and human, that are currently devoted to the development, maintenance, and operation of nuclear weapons. In a world without nuclear war, those resources could be channeled into areas of social and economic development. Funds that were once earmarked for weapons production could be redirected to healthcare, education, infrastructure, and scientific research. A world without nuclear war would be a world where the brightest minds of our generation are not tasked with creating ever more efficient means of destruction, but are instead focused on solving the pressing issues that face humanity. Climate change, poverty, disease. These are the battles that we should be fighting, not wars that could lead to our own annihilation. The path to this world is not easy, nor is it straightforward. It requires global cooperation, trust, and a shared commitment to peace. But the rewards are immeasurable. We would be leaving a safer, more stable, and prosperous world for future generations. A world without nuclear war is not just desirable, it is necessary for the survival of humanity. The scars of past conflicts remind us of the devastation that such a war would bring. We owe it to ourselves and to those who will come after us to strive for this world, to make the dream of a world without nuclear war a reality.